I'm with you here on Facebook. We're going to update you on the noon broadcast, but a little first alert to the first alert. So getting in early, I know a lot of you are busy making last minute preparations ahead of the snow, which is going to fly and stick in less than, or at least begin to stick in less than 24 hours. I got to tell you, today is a first alert weather day. It's really cold, but it's really sunny. And this is the perfect time to plan ahead of tomorrow. This is not a bread and milk run kind of thing. I really want to make sure you have gasoline, medication, and water, right? I mean, there are possibility of some power outages with this winter weather storm watch, but we are tracking snowfall flying and sticking for everybody nearby. Now, it's possible you could be watching this from some other place, and this may not affect you, but if you're in East Tennessee and Southeastern Kentucky, this will be affecting you. So I'm going to let some folks join, and I'm going to refresh my Facebook page because, again, we want this to be interactive. I want to be able to answer as many questions. What I would encourage you to do, though, rather than ask about a specific town, because then things could get bogged down and I could miss you, is to just hit the pause button when we go through our snow map, find your town, making sure you know where you live, on the map, and then check from there. But we'll run through this twice, and then we got to get mic'd up for the noon show. Okay, so where are we at right now? We are less than a day out. The location, that's figured out. Everybody. The type of storm, that's figured out. Snow for the most part, although I do expect some sleet, especially in our southern counties. The only question now is the very specific amounts as the ultra high resolution data comes in. Here it is, though, for the kids. I want to stress that tomorrow evening commute is going to be white knuckle driving, but a lot of schools probably will either dismiss early or cancel outright. At least that's the thinking, right? And for the kids, this is going to be awesome. Yes, it's a first alert. Yes, it's going to be cold. But I used to be a kid. I'm a kid at heart. I used to love snow days. And so this will be a good sledder for a lot of folks. Hey, Gail, Lenoir City, we'll talk about your specific totals in a second. So Jenny, watching from Middle Tennessee, good point. You were under that winter storm warning in Middle Tennessee, where you see at the bottom of the screen our digital team, David and Cameron. You see they have a watch. That's up for most of the region, but Middle Tennessee and a couple counties are in a warning. So midday is when things are going to get underway. I expect the snow to begin right around 9 to 10, or at least to really start to materialize in Knoxville. So about an hour early down towards Spring City and Watts Bar, and about an hour after that in places, let's say like Rogersville and Sneedville. Okay, so this is, I would say, for the average driver, it's a yellow light, meaning if you're off the roads by midday, you should be totally fine. If you are very comfortable driving in snow, and that's only something that you could know, I would say it's still going to be white knuckle driving by the end of that. So let's go through again some questions. How much expected for Clinton? I would say probably close to 5. Thing is, with places like Clinton, there are humongous elevation differentiations. So this is for town specifically. Above town, could be closer to 6. Closer to the river might be a little closer to 4. So we'll run through this a couple of times. Big impacts for northern parts of Georgia and Alabama, also down towards Chattanooga, where there is more of a freezing rain potential. Some sleet pellets, which you could hear sleet. It's already frozen. Ice pellets, they make the clink off your windshield and roof. Those could eat into some snow totals into parts of Monroe, McMinn, and far southern Blount County. But not really much has changed since yesterday. So what we do at this point is we watch the trend. And this is really what I want to convey. The trend going into the noon show today is to go up on snow totals a little bit. Nothing massive. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're not scratching out or erasing our snow forecast. But you may be looking at, let's say, an inch, maybe an inch and a half higher than we thought a couple days ago. But again, even that could change a little bit today, right? Hasn't happened yet. It's in the future. Winter storm watch for everybody except Fentress and Cumberland counties. It's a very subtle shade of pink over here. Fentress, Cumberland, winter storm warning. Why? Different Office of the Weather Service is the simplest way to do it. It's just slightly different thinking. So this is my customized map. What I've done, I'll just let you in, is I've taken the Euro high res and I have manually increased the snow totals. So some snow maps, not many, but a couple are as heavy as 8 inches of snow for parts of the valley. Others are closer to 4. What I think is most likely is somewhere between about 4 and 5 inches of snow across parts of Knox County. Again, that is as of 11:38 right now, a day away. So there's going to be more new data before then. I'm not trying to hedge, I'm not trying to punt, but that's the current thinking. And then a similar story across much of the region. So again, this is where I want you to hit the pause button. Pause. After I'm done, come back to this and find your specific town. It's color-coded from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, which is only a couple folks, 2 to 3, a few more, 3 to 4, a few more, and then 4 to 5, a few more. Okay? This is not expected to be a repeat of last year where there was a huge nothing in much of the mountains and then 8 inches of snow in Knoxville. So we'll come back to this, but I do want to focus on this. In Knox County, between about 3 and 5.5 inches of snow. That is not really much different than before. We were thinking maybe on the lower end of that for Knox County earlier, but now it looks to be on the heavier end of that. Chris is concerned about a repeat of the blizzard of 93. Not a chance. The science has come so far in the last 32 years. Greenback, Tennessee again. This is for Johnny. I'd encourage you to hit the button and check out for your town specifically. As of now, Tennessee is closed. To Alan's point, there are going to be more closures coming in. Emily, appreciate you watching from Oliver Springs, and Connie and Tazewell. Lisa, Jellicoe, we're looking probably closer to 4 inches of snow, could be a little bit more. Again, Jellicoe has a humongous range in elevations, and it's just hard to know exactly where you are in that. Again, Jefferson City, again, same thing. So again, I would encourage you to hit the pause button right here, and then come back, find your town, because we have 562 folks watching right now, and I just can't hit everybody, but I want to make sure we get everybody covered. For tomorrow, this is our map from Monday. It's mostly snow with some mixing. Now, I'll tell you the good news is that we're not expecting a big freezing rain event. What we are expecting is some sleet, not as troublesome, and not really much regular rain, although it's possible in a few places, but some sleet could gobble up a little bit of the snow totals in the far southern area. Here's the timeline, 9-10 o'clock, exactly what I'm saying for Knoxville. This has not changed much. By noon, as we're into that first alert weather mode, most people are seeing snow, maybe not the Tri-Cities, but most people. And then I do expect into the afternoon, not to get into the nitty-gritty here, but I guess that's what I am going to do. You see how it's a deeper purple near Maryville? We could have what's called a deformation band as slightly warmer air gets into the middle levels. And that could up the totals. So what I do expect is there to be a stripe going from west to east, like this, somewhere within 15 miles of Interstate 40. Now that is a very tiny window, but in that I do expect some 6-inch plus totals. Key is very small band and some. Not everybody's going to see that, but it is certainly possible that some folks could see 6 inches of snow within a few miles of Interstate 40. But that's only a few. Good thing is ice potential is pretty small. This map is called the NAM. I'm really not the biggest fan. You might have heard me talk about this yesterday. But there could be some icing outside of our region. So in the mountains of North Carolina, like near Cherry Hill Skyway, North Georgia especially, and along the I-24 corridor. But locally, again, there's going to be some sleet, but not a ton. I don't think that is actually going to happen, but it is a possibility. Here's another version of the ice potential. Again, we can handle snow, right? The roads are being pre-treated. We just heard from TDOT's Mark Nagy yesterday. We heard from Jim Snowden, who's like the Knoxville area guy to go to as far as snow preparation and road preparation. And they're prepared. We've already seen wet and dry things being laid down in a lot of places. We're learning today that some places aren't or can't pre-treat. You just got to know, again, this is highly specific to where you are, but again, not a big freezing rain threat. If we even got a glaze of ice in the middle of that, that would not be great. But notice we're not thinking that, well, I guess that's over here. We're not thinking that ice is a big issue. Here is a big issue. It's going to take a ton of time to melt this snow off from grassy areas. And eventually, this could weigh down your roof a little bit or weigh down some power lines even after the snow is done. So we hope that there's no power outages after this. But it is going to be really cold, and I've dropped the temperatures behind the snow because, again, there's no doubt that snow is going to fall and stick for everybody hearing me locally. Only thing that we're figuring out is the amounts. We're less than a day out. The location, everybody getting snow. We know the patterns here. Again, starting 10 plus days ago, the team saw this pattern. Then we said, hey, is it more or less likely? Then we figured out the timing. And the only thing now is the snow's got to come. And we got to figure out the exact totals. Again, for a lot of kids, this will be great. I don't want to make this all doom and gloom. Yes, if you're driving, it's not the most fun, even with four-wheel drive. At a certain point when you're on the interstate and there's those ruts created, and it makes it hard to change lanes and things for any driver. Speaking of driving, the commute forecast, if you're off the roads by, let's say, noon, 1-ish, for most people, you will be okay. The question we were getting a lot yesterday is, hey, Ben, can I drive from X to Y? Should I go from A to B? I have a doctor's appointment. My kid has a flight. That has to be up to you. Like I've said for a bunch of these towns, there's a huge range in elevation in a single town, like Clinton, like Jellicoe. There's a huge range of cars out there, a huge range of experience driving in snow. And that's just why we can't answer the question of, hey, should I drive into that? Or my boss says I have to come to work, or my boss says I can't. It is so circumstantial based on your life that we just can't answer that. So I don't want it to be a cop-out, but I'm just trying to be real, right, with you guys. We can't tell you whether you should drive later tomorrow into Saturday. Wintry impacts over the next 3 days at a medium level in most places. Again, it's not a repeat of last year. This is not a repeat of the blizzard of 93. In fact, last year's snow was the biggest snow since the blizzard of 93, and that was 31 years later. Let me go back into some questions. Hello, folks. Lisa in Sweetwater. Will it be fluffy snowman building? Great question from Shauna. Let's talk about the texture. I think that this will be closer to a 8-to-1, maybe 9-to-1 snow ratio. So it will be good snowman building snow or snowball building snow, but it will not be fluffy. This is not a Colorado champagne powder. Ooh, okay. Here we go. New update. Did you see the pink color change live on your screen? So right this second, we got a winter storm warning for the entire area. So are you able to change that text on the fly, David, to warning? Awesome. David and Cameron are some unsung rock stars here at WVLT, so I appreciate them helping us get this on air for you. So live on your screen, winter storm warning, just updating within the last 30 seconds. Let's see. Gail, appreciate it. Thank you, Nick, for the love. How much for Granger County in Bean Station? Again, I think probably closer to 5 to 6 in a lot of places. 360 time in the parking lots. Just be really careful. But it is that kind of a snow. I'm not saying to do that. But again, to Jeremy's point, warning or watch. It just updated live to a warning for you. So what I've done is I've watched the trend the last couple of days. And the trend is blinking today, saying slightly heavier going into noon today for tomorrow. So this is where I say hit the pause button again after I'm done. Widespread 3 to 4, 3 to 5, some spots 6. Yes, there are outlier weather maps that I'm not trying to hide from you. We're just not using them on air because they're outliers that are saying 8, 9 inches of snow. We think that that's rather unlikely, especially on big surfaces. You could get drifts like that, no doubt. And for our area, that is quite a bit of snow. Approximate start time of all this mess in Farragut. Well, that comes from Donna, and let's walk you through that in just a second. But again, most of you, it's just a mostly snow event. So your timeline in Farragut and in any town is right here, 9 to 10 o'clock. It's going to start very light because we have to overcome drier air. But then snow will be starting to stick to grassy areas, I think certainly by noon. Again, how much in Oneida? John, I'd encourage you to go back to the last slide and hit the pause button. Let's see. How much for Sevierville? Same thing here for Felicia. Tazewell, same thing here for Stephanie. Go back to what we were just looking at. Hit the pause button. And just know that the numbers could go up still a little bit, right? Here's the update at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Snow has reached most of us. And then it just snows for several hours. So the evening commute home, or maybe going into work, will be the most taxing for a lot of you guys. And then on Saturday morning, I think the biggest challenge will be getting out of neighborhoods that haven't been treated or plowed. That's the big challenge. Once you get to the main road, I think that a lot of things will be okay. Not whistling down the highway easy, certainly not at full speed, but navigable, right? It is a lot of snow for our area. It's not the same as Detroit, Minneapolis, in Maine. For our area, it's a good amount of snow. But it's wrapping up for the most part by breakfast time on Saturday. Ice potential, the good news is we're not getting a ton of freezing rain. That is super important. Icing to our south, though, is certainly possible. So if you are traveling towards Chattanooga, if you are traveling towards Atlanta or Birmingham or even like Tullahoma, that's a different story. I would check with your friends and family down there in real time before you make that drive. And as we look ahead at what is to come, we are thankful that it's not a ton of ice. So again, future ice potential is really small. Even if we had a glaze of ice, this would be a completely different system. But we are going to get ready for the noon show. I got less than 10 minutes to get in there. I think our director is about to call for me. It's Ben Cathey here. Just know the trend is climbing a little bit for snow accumulation, and within the past 4 minutes, everybody extended to a winter storm warning. I'll see you at noon, 3:30, 4, and then we'll have team coverage for you in the days ahead. We'll get through this, and I hope for the kids out there that you enjoy this snow. All part of our first alert.